Hey there, I am back with another deck review, and today going to be looking at Pop Stars from RiffleShuffle. This deck's designed by Dario Genuardi. He's actually worked with RiffleShuffle a couple of other times before, specifically on the surf and skateboard decks. Both really cool decks that I have in my collection. A lot of fun. I love the style of the quartz, and so I really wanted to see what Dario did with that signature style brought to the world of music. So let's jump into it, take a look, find out how he did. Starting with the tuck, it's a really simple, basic quality tuck, glossy finish, no embossing, foiling, anything like that. And it says very simply, Pop Stars in lights across the top. You have the teal background with the light bulbs kind of giving it a little bit of an interesting emphasis. And then in the background, you have the bold lightning bolt, reminiscent of David Bowie's classic Ziggy Stardust character. This was kind of the eye makeup that he often wore. So you got the pink, blue, and then an outline of kind of a gold ink. It's non-metallic, but a gold ink there. That, in addition to the black background here, are really the only colors that we're going to see used throughout the entire deck, which I think is interesting how much they're able to do with a small number of colors. But you have the stars in the corner, gold outlined with pink, and then RiffleShuffle.com at the bottom. As you turn to the sides, you've got Pop Stars playing cards, and then the hand with the microphone on either side. On the other side, distributed by RiffleShuffle, along with their address and made in the USA. These are printed by USPCC. You got the microphones on the sides there. Bottom has your ad copy for Dario Genuardi and RiffleShuffle, and you can see this is a 2020 first edition. You got more of those lightning bolts on either side, and then on the top we have just an extension of that lightning bolt wrapped around to the top. It says Pop Stars playing cards with a star on the other side. The back here is going to be the back design of the cards that we'll take a look at in a second. And on the thumb cutout here, you've got a little bit of a lightning bolt again peeking through. As you open it up, it says "Let's Dance," a nod to the musical theme that's going to be carried through the whole deck. Got a couple little design elements there with the stars on either side of the inner flaps, and nothing printed on the interior of the tuck. That's it. That's the tuck case. A bit of a fun look, kind of simple, but very fun, bright, vibrant colors on it. Now let's jump into the cards, and we'll start with the back design, and here it is. A lot going on in this one. So you got the Pop Stars name of the deck there in the center, and then a whole series of sort of musically inspired elements going all the way through. You've got the crisscross guitars here, both plugged into amps that line up on the side. You've got drumsticks, guitars. You've even got the rock on hands going on here, complete with a couple of tattoos with the skull and the spade there. So lots of different explosion of elements, but the coolest piece of this entire back design are these keyboards on the side. I love how they break into that thin white poker border, which gives you a really interesting element to use this in fans. So very cool, a lot going on in this back design with just the very simple color scheme of just the teal, white, and black. A lot going on, kind of borders on busy. I wish it had been a two-way back design. Obviously that Pop Stars name in the center there keeps this from being a two-way back design. I think if there's one big area where this back design falls down, it's in that. But not bad, an interesting back design, a lot of little elements to look for there. So that's the back. Let's get into the cards. So now we're gonna see the first of many characters, and these are characters that are gonna be inspired by musical stars. So the two Jokers feature the two members of Daft Punk. So you can see them there, both in their really cool galactic styled suits and their iconic helmets. So you've got one of them on the black Joker, one of them on the red Joker. This has the stars in the corner outlined in gold, and a really cool pose of the two of them there. A very fun look and great start to what's going to be the first of many musical characters that we see throughout the deck across the eras. So there's your two Jokers. You also get a double backer gaff card and an ad card for RiffleShuffle. And as RiffleShuffle often does with their decks, they keep the ad card very much in theme with the rest of the deck. So this one's on kind of the edge of a keyboard here, complete with the controls at the top, and RiffleShuffle written up there, up with the controls. So there is your ad card, and now let's get into the deck. So feel free to kind of play along, see how many of the characters in here you can recognize as we go through. And the first one's going to be here on the Ace of Spades. Now in the corner, you've got a custom font, slightly customized pip there. But the center spade pip is made up of our first star. You know who that is? Well, this one right here is Lemmy from the metal band Motorhead. So despite the pop star's name of the deck, the stars you see in this are going to be from all sorts of different genres of music. So we start out with a heavy metal star in Lemmy up here on the front. There's pop stars playing cards at the bottom, and you can see him there with his iconic mustache sort of curling up to form the edges of the spade. Very cool design, done in a, that same very simple color scheme. You've got some of the gold, black, white, and then a little bit of a teal in there as well. As you go through the number cards, they're going to be fairly standard layout, but you do get the custom pips and kind of a cool little touch on these. In the negative space, you've got a little bit of a lightning bolt splitting out there. Pretty cool touch. But otherwise, fairly standard layout to the pips. Very nice, easily readable. And then you get to the best part, and that is the quartz. So each one of these is going to feature, like I said, a famous singer or musician. So starting with the Jack of Spades, we have Joey Ramone. That was probably one of the hardest ones for me to pick out. Had to actually phone a friend and ask for help on this one. But Joey Ramone on the Jack of Spades. You have, of course, right here, Madonna on the Queen of Spades with her iconic costume there. And on the King of Spades, of course, this one is Jimi Hendrix. So all of them done, very simple color scheme, but I love the unique poses and styles you get in all these. Definitely, especially once you hear the names, very distinctly reminiscent of their characters. So fun first few quartz here. Now you get into the red cards, and they are a more classic red. They almost, depending on the light, look a little bit more pink. But there are your diamonds. You've got, again, that lightning bolt cut out there. And then into the quartz here. So starting with the Jack of Diamonds, I have, of course, this one is Michael Jackson. Take a little bit of issue with him being on a Jack. I know it's Jackson. But for a guy named the King of Pop, and this being the pop deck, it really seems fitting that he should have been on a king, but it is what it is. So Michael Jackson makes his way onto the Jack of Diamonds. The Queen of Diamonds, this one's a little bit of a trickier one. This one's more modern. This is Lady Gaga right there with her distinct sunglasses, and she's playing the piano as she goes. And then the King of Diamonds, so the guy who also inspired the front of the tuck case, mentioned him before, but this is David Bowie as his Ziggy Stardust character. So you've got that classic eye makeup, which is the same design we saw on the front of the tuck case. Very cool use of color on this one. Very bright color to him. Now turning to the clubs, we have another non-pop singer here. This one's a Bob Marley with his dreads flaring in the wind. I love the look of his hair on this one. I love the motion that's in this one. But Bob Marley, classic reggae singer. The Queen of Clubs is singer Queen himself, Freddie Mercury. Again, love the just distinct and unique poses they do through all of these. But he's got the cape and crown, of course, there. And then the Jack of Clubs. Now we turn to hip hop, and this one is Snoop Dogg with the marijuana leaf flashing the West Side there. Very cool. This is one of my favorite musicians back in the 90s, I guess I would say. Into the clubs. And we have one last set of quartz to go. And we start with the King of Hearts. It is the king himself, Elvis Presley. And he's a little bit of a blue Hawaii look here with the lei and playing the ukulele there as he goes. The Queen of Hearts, another little bit of a harder one to pick out. Passed away way too soon, but this one is Amy Winehouse. Played with her tatted up arms and her kind of soulful look there. And then last but not least for the quartz is the Jack of Hearts, and we're going to go back to the Beatles. This one's Paul McCartney. He's got his medal there on his chest from when he was knighted. So Paul McCartney makes his way in as the Jack of Hearts. And then you go through the hearts, again with that lightning bolt cut out, and finish with the Ace of Hearts. Now the handling on this deck, USPCC deck, pretty standard stock, a little bit on the thinner side, but handles just beautifully. Fans really nicely. I had mentioned this before, but I love the design that piano keyboard makes as you use this in fans. Makes for a really cool element there. But these handle really, really nicely, look great in a fan. What about the uses for the deck? Well, it's definitely a functional, fun deck if you want to use this for gameplay. A little bit on the highly customized side for Magic, but you could use it for that as well. Handles well enough for cardistry. So, you know, definitely a functional deck that I think was meant to be used, though, for a fun poker night. I really think that's where it finds its niche. What do I think of the deck overall? I think it's a fun deck. I think there are a few areas where, honestly, it just kind of fell a little bit short in kind of fulfilling the theme. The one-way back design did a little bit for me, and honestly, I wish they'd stuck with pop stars on the faces, maybe done an entire series of decks for different genres, but to mix in all the different musical styles, I think really just distracted from the theme. I mean, you've got, you know, heavy metal, you've got hip hop, rock and roll, you've got all sorts of different musical genres, and yet it's called the Pop Stars deck. So I think just as a whole, it fell short in a few different ways to really carry through on the consistency of the theme. That said, still a really fun deck. I love the distinct style of the quartz, those outline looks, just a very fun style. I love how well they're illustrated, and I love just how distinct all the characters are. So a lot of good things about the deck. Just think it could have been executed a little bit better on the theme side. But that's it. That is a look at the Pop Stars deck from RiffleShuffle. If you're interested, these decks are still available on RiffleShuffle. I'll put a link down in the description where you can check them out. Let me know what other decks you want to see, and subscribe for more deck reviews and unboxings. And I'll see you for the next one.